Well, we have some major Social Security updates that we need to get to today because we have now learned of the updated projections for the cost of living adjustment for 2026. So we will get to that in a moment. We're also learning about some major updates from the White House and what President Trump just did to many immigrants that are collecting Social Security. So we'll address that as well. But we also have some potentially good news that is coming off of some bad news. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain what is going on and how millions and millions of Americans could actually receive a larger pay increase to their Social Security benefits, or they could see a smaller increase. So again, I'm going to explain all this in just a moment, so make sure you stick around and watch this entire video, and we'll get right down to it. But first, I do ask one thing. Takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So yes, it is true. There is some good news and some potentially bad news. I will get to both. But first, let's talk about the cost of living adjustment projections for 2026. Look at this. It says Social Security cost of living adjustment projected to be lower in 2026, according to estimates. But tariffs may change this. Here's what you need to know. We are seeing the consumer sentiment is struggling. The American people are struggling. Can't keep up with bills, can't keep food on the table. We are seeing mortgages are in default. People can't keep up with their rent. Car payments are behind, they're delinquent. We are having issues. This could actually turn into a potential recession, which could actually lead inflation down. And if we see inflation come down, this means your cost of living adjustment for 2026 will also come down. That wouldn't be good, especially when for 2025, millions of Americans only received a 2.5% cost of living adjustment. That is barely keeping up with inflation, or according to reports. But again, this is why it's such a big deal. This is the expected change in inflation. This came out and people are freaking out. Look at this. This is from a survey from the University of Michigan. Now, I want to explain this to you. This is what they are projecting right here. This is 6.7%. So in the next year, according to consumers, we are expecting inflation will be right here at 6.7%. This is the highest reading since 1981. Okay, this is according to these reports. Now, here's the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention. Look at this. This is back in 2022. This is right here. Okay, was it 5.4%? So that was our expectation. Back in 2008, 2009, this is 2008 right here, we had an expectation of 5.2%. Yeah, that was a devastating time. So again, right before or right after the pandemic, 2022, we're seeing it 5.4%. Back in 2008, when we hit the great financial crisis, again, 5.2%. And now we're expecting 6.7%. Here's the good news. If we do see inflation, we are going to see a larger cost of living adjustment for 2026. But I want to show you this, okay? Look at this right here. It says, recent estimates for the 2026 cost of living adjustment based off the latest government inflation data place the adjustment to be around 2.2 to 2.3%. Again, below the 2.5% increase that we saw in 2025. It says right here, the COLA for 2026 may be 2.2%, according to Mary Johnson, an independent Social Security and Medicare analyst. Meanwhile, the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan senior group, estimates next year's adjustment could be 2.3%. Again, it's very, very minimal. If it's 2.2 or 2.3, the increase is not going to be that substantial. That's part of the issue. It's going to be the difference of probably like $4 to $5. That's it. So $4 to $5 a month, not a huge increase. Here's the reason why I bring this to your attention today. What we are seeing right now is the White House is doing so many different things to try to bring down the costs for Social Security. one of the things that they're doing is they're trying to minimize the expenses from the Social Security Administration. Now, this is going to help in the long run, but in the short term, what's it doing is it's actually creating additional delays. We're seeing, tens of or hundreds of thousands of people cannot get the services that they need. They cannot actually get on like a phone call with a Social Security representative or staffer because they're just so busy. Okay? So what's happening right now is we are seeing more and more people are just getting further and further behind. Eventually, those payments will catch up. They'll send out the money and things will be great. But in the meantime, it's going to be difficult. Here's the other thing, though. Look at this right here. This was just reported yesterday. It says Social Security classifies thousands of immigrants as dead as part of a Trump crackdown. Here's what's going on. President Trump and the White House, or the Trump administration, they have a plan in their head that if we simply hold all the benefits from immigrants, from illegal immigrants, and we don't pay them a single cent, not money for Social Security. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, illegal immigrants don't get Social Security payments. In some cases, they do. Okay, and I'm not getting that in today's video, but there are many reports that, yes, illegal immigrants are receiving payments. Okay, so they're going to crack down on immigrants receiving Social Security. So they're just going to mark all those people as dead, according to a recent report. That's one thing they're going to do. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to ensure that anybody that wants to change the address, the bank account information, right? Anybody that's making substantial changes to their account, instead of calling in like you were supposed to do or you could do for so many years, you have to go into one of the Social Security Administration offices, or you got to use the online portal. It creates a very difficult situation for people that are illegally receiving these benefits to do that, especially go into an office or log into the online portal when they could simply call. Okay, so it's going to be going in or online portal. That is going to pretty much withhold the money for people that have illegally been receiving it. So there's another thing that's going on for the Social Security Administration. But here's the big one. According to multiple reports, what the Trump administration is trying to do is trying to get many illegal immigrants to self-deportate or deport. Okay, so what they're trying to do, if they can deport themselves, the United States doesn't have to pay for it, so we save a little bit of money there. But also, that just takes another person out of the U.S. The problem here again, and I've said this before, is if we see 1 million people leave the United States, voluntarily leave, okay, a voluntary deportation, what's going to happen is if all those people are working, it's going to create some pressure on the economy, okay, because a lot of these jobs will not be filled, unfortunately, which means there's also less money going into the Social Security Trust Fund. Another problem which could actually speed up the insolvency date. But what you need to understand is that the Trump administration is trying to do everything in their power, and they're coming up with really outside the box thinking to make this work. Again, whether it works or not, I don't know. All I know is what they're doing. Okay? But here's the other thing. Inflation outlook climbs after new tariffs. Now, I'm not going to get into all the details because the details of these tariffs changes by minute. What we know is that President Trump came out and had a laundry list of all these different countries that are going to pay different amounts, and some was going to work, some weren't. Some were going to negotiate with the Trump administration, others weren't. Then they said China was going to have to pay 34%. China said, no, we're not. They came back with a reciprocal tariff. President Trump said, okay, you want to charge us that? We're going to charge you X amount. It went up to 104%. Then China said, we're going to charge you 84%. Then Trump says, you know what? We're just going to charge you 145% tariff on all things that come into the United States. And China said, okay, that's fine. We're going to charge you 125%. Okay. Here's what's going to happen. We are going to see inflation because of all these tariffs. But here's the other problem. If we can't send our products to China, are we still needing to make them? Maybe not, which means people might not need their job. The same goes for China products coming into the United States. And so here's the issue. Because of all these tariffs, we are going to see additional inflation. But, and this is a big but, President Trump paused tariffs for 90 days on every other country but China, which is fine. But what happens if those tariffs now go into effect in the next 90 days? And we see 10% across the board, or 20 or 30 or 40%. We're going to see additional inflation. Again, additional inflation is going to be great for next year, for the cost of living adjustment for next year, but it's going to be devastating for this year in 2025. This is part of the problem. And so right now, what we continue to hear from people on the Hill is we need to provide more benefits to the American people, to low-income households, to people on a fixed income like Social Security retirees, and also veterans. We need to provide more benefits. But how do we pay for them? That's the big question. So again, I'm bringing this to your attention because right now we have no clue what's going to happen. The consumer sentiment is, well, it's crumbling. Nobody wants to buy anything. People aren't buying cars like they were supposed to. People are not buying homes like they were supposed to. Okay? And then let me just show you this really quick. Look at this right here. Top of the video right there. It says mortgage rates surge over 7% as tariffs hit the bond market. This was supposed to be the year that inflation goes down. Okay? That we also see interest rates go down, which means we can now buy homes. The mortgage rates are surging to 7%. If it's going up, does that mean people are going to buy less homes? Or it just means homes are becoming more expensive? I don't know what to tell you, except for the fact that this is what we know. We know what we're told. The cost of living adjustment for 2026 is going to be abysmal. It's not going to help many people. There's a very good chance that it costs more money to keep your insurance. So if you want Medicare next year, well, it's probably be more expensive. Yeah. We'll probably see less benefits coming for SNAP beneficiaries. That's an issue. So again, all these things are happening at the exact same time, which could potentially send the United States into a recession or potentially a depression. President Trump already said, and he admitted that yes, he understood that tariffs would likely send the United States into a recession. But what he was concerned with is he didn't want it to fall into a depression. So we'll see what happens, but as of today, that is what we know. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think a 2.2 to 2.3% cost of living adjustment for 2026 is enough? Or do you think Congress needs to do something for millions and millions of Americans to ensure that they have what they need to just survive? Because right now, 2.2 to 2.3% won't even be enough to pay for the essentials. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.